And welcome to Shine with Julie. I want to talk to you today about goal setting and goal getting because it's not good enough just to set them, we got to go get them, right? So, there are some myths to goals, and some people struggle with goals. I was one of them. I went through a time a couple of years ago that I didn't want to set one more goal, period, because I didn't get the goal that I wanted. So I became like that 2-year-old little baby that went and, pouted on the floor or probably laid down and smacked the floor and kicked my legs and said, no more goals. These aren't working. If that's you, I totally feel you because it was me. But here's a couple things that I've learned, and I hope that it helps you as well. So the first thing is don't be afraid to set that big, hairy, audacious, unreachable goal. But when you do that, you have to do a couple of key things. Okay. So setting that goal is great, but you might be like one of my clients. I was talking to somebody and she said that there is like this huge gap between where I'm at right now and where my goal is. And I am having a hard time really accepting that. And all I can see is that space in between. And that's totally understandable. So write the goal in whatever season is great for you. I'm not a big believer on New York. I was going to say New York resolutions, New Year's resolutions. They do drop the ball in New York, right? So anyway, New Year's resolutions, I'm not a big goal. However, I am a big fan of setting intentions for the year, setting goals for the year, setting 5-year goals. Where do you want to be? What do you want your income to look like? What do you want your family situation to look like? What do you want your fitness or your body to be at a weight? Or are you looking to achieve a specific fitness goal? Finances, that type of stuff is great. But don't think of it as a New Year's resolution. Or maybe you're somebody that comes into the next school year. I still have kids in school, and for some reason, August, when school starts, is when my mind goes, okay, it's game on again. And I do this at both times. I do it at the end or beginning of the next year, and also when school starts, just as a refresh. Maybe my goal, maybe I'm not aligned with that goal that I first set in January. It needs some tweaking. That's okay too. So don't be afraid to set those goals. And then the second thing I want to talk about is keep that time space small. Don't look at that goal as a 12-month planning process. Break it into smaller chunks, quarters, 90 days, because 90 days is something that you can look at, measure, tweak, and move on. I mean, we've all heard the story about, you're in an airplane, you're driving, you are in space, you got to tweak that trajectory a little bit, because you might be a tiny bit off course. So looking at it in 90 days is very doable. And so what do you do in that 90 days? Okay, so you take that goal, that big, hairy goal, right? And you want to break it down. This is where you need to get realistic because you only have a certain amount of time that you are going to allocate to this goal. You are only one person after all, right? We're going to talk about that a little more in a minute on things that you can do. But so you want to set that goal. You want to think of, as a person, what are your non-negotiables? What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? My mentor, Heather Quizzle Brown, is, a mentor of mine for a reason, because I really admire where she's at. She's gone through a couple different things in her career, and she is very clear on, I will do this, I will not do this. So if you are somebody that will work during the day up until a certain point when your kids get home, know that and own it. It's not a bad thing. Or maybe you are homeschooling your kids and you can only work in certain pockets of time. You'll work this time, but not that time. You will allow this to creep in and not that. And those are boundaries that you have to set for yourself, because if you're like me, you are an entrepreneur and you are a wife and you are a mom and you have goals of your own. So what does that day look like for you? Okay, so I'm going to read a couple things that I wrote down here. So you might be the person that is doing the laundry. You might be cooking all the meals. You might be the carpool person every single time because there is no carpool yet. So think of those roles that you fill that are all on you, right? And now we need to look at, I have this particular goal, whether it is a business goal or it's a fitness goal, a personal goal of some kind, but you have this 90 days to complete X, Y, and Z. I wouldn't put more than 3 things that you're working on. And if you're a little scattered, maybe a little ADD, pick 2. Pick 2 in that 90 days and really run with them in those time blocks that you've allocated. But now I want to talk about a subset of this, okay? Because you are only one person and you deserve your time too. So if you are that mom that's running the business or working from home, right? A lot of people are still working from home. They're on Zoom calls or meetings, audio conferences all day long, and they're doing the laundry, and they're doing the carpool, and they're doing the grocery shopping. Work with me here because there are things that you can outsource. And when I say that word, like it was said to me one time, I'm like, yeah, right. Who am I going to outsource this to? But then I started thinking, yes, there are resources at my disposal right now that I can utilize. I have somebody come to clean my house, but she's only here every other week. And I look around and there are other things that can be done. So I'm looking for a household assistant that can do those things. Give me 5 hours a week and I'll have a list for you every week of things that I need. Maybe it's errands to run. Maybe it's extra things to do around the house. And my housekeeper does not have time to do all of that deep cleaning every other week that she's here. But the household assistant could, right? And I'm still not going to do it because I'm not going to do it for a whole host of reasons. But let's talk about groceries. Have you heard of Instacart? Walmart delivers groceries. What are those things in your area where you live that you can utilize? And the first time I started looking at the Instacart fees, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm paying this for groceries. And then I started thinking about it. And a friend of mine at a ball game said, Julie, you're going to save that money anyway because you're not walking through the aisles grabbing that extra stuff. And she's so right. And not only that, I do get to apply my time, my most valuable resource that I can't get back, to my goals, that thing that I can only do. So that is invaluable to me, actually. So I don't even think about that part of the Instacart anymore. And it saves me a lot of time. I used to build my list at home. I used to drive to the grocery store, shop for the groceries, wait for them to bag it, drive home, empty the groceries. I mean, sometimes I have help with that, but that's 6 steps. Now I build the list. At the same time, I am telling the person to go forth and shop for me. And then I can give them feedback. Did they pick out things I liked, things I didn't like? They communicate with me. But as I communicate with them, if they have to make a substitution, I'm just texting them. And I still am focused on what I need to do. A great, great way to outsource where you don't have to necessarily hire somebody and guarantee them time, but utilize the resources at your disposal. I mentioned carpool a couple times. Do you take your kids to school and bring them home every single day? Is there somebody that can share in that responsibility with you? And you know what? That mom would probably be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I didn't even think about this, but I could really use that extra hour in my day 2 to 3 times a week. There's 5 days a week. So split the week. Somebody takes 2 days, somebody takes 2 days, and then you alternate the other day. It is a great way to get a little bit of that time back. And then you can see your kids when they get home. It's all good. It is all good. So those are just a couple of things that I want you to start thinking about. Look at your time. Look at what you absolutely have to do on your own. And then also look at the things that you can delegate or outsource. And it is doable. Trust me. And then lastly, I want you to set measurable goals. And you've heard this, SMART goals, right? I mean, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, don't talk to me about another SMART goal. But what really resonated with me was measurable action. Because if I have a goal, if I have a revenue goal in my business, I can't I can't count on XYZ number of people purchasing my services or products. But what I can control and measure is how many people I ask, are you open to looking at what I do? Could this be a fit for you or your family? Do you know somebody that has XYZ that my services could be a fit for? That is absolutely in my control, and I can measure that. That's my responsibility as a business owner, is to share my message with the world and ask if this is a good fit. And if not, no big deal, right? But I have to at least put it out there. And that is what I'm saying. So as you look at your business goal, how many people do you have to ask that question to? How many people do you have to share your fantastic product, service, or opportunity with in order to get to that goal? And you know what? At the end of that week, I would measure it every week. Are you keeping up with that goal? Is it realistic for you? Or did you expect too much? Does that goal have to be tweaked a little bit because you still are that one person? And even though you've outsourced and even though you've taken some things off your plate, you just simply can't get to that level of activity. And it's okay. It's just information, right? So maybe it takes you 6 more months to get to that goal, and that's okay. That's okay. It's not that you're failing. You are measuring and regrouping. It is perfect. So what about a fitness goal? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to run a half marathon? Do you want to weigh a certain weight at the end of that 90 days? Do you want to be more toned? Do you want to be lifting more weight if you are, building that muscle? Those are still things. So again, how often do you have to train? What does that training look like? And then look at it as that 90 days and then break it up into that week and then be realistic with yourself. Does the first week of the month allow for that time or does it not? Does the second week, that type of thing, and have grace with yourself. I give you full permission to have grace with yourself because you need it. You absolutely need grace because some weeks are going to be better than others. Some days are going to be better than others. And you might fall flat on your face. You might have this big income goal and you don't reach out to a soul because it's been a really rough week for whatever reason. And don't think that you have to totally throw away the goal, because I've been there before too. Shred the goal. I can't believe I even was stupid enough to make that goal. No, don't do that. But rethink the goal. Maybe it is unachievable this 90 days. Maybe you tweak it. Maybe you do a little bit less to get back on that horse. You have a weight loss goal and you just dipped into the homecoming parade candy. And maybe that weight loss goal doesn't happen this week. Have grace with yourself. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're never going to get there. And just know this too, because I've worked on myself enough. I've worked with practitioners on myself enough. I've helped enough clients to know that there are flat on times when you have the best goal, you are doing the right things, you're checking off those action steps, and you're in the game and you are doing it, and the needle is not moving. The income goal is not increasing. Your weight is not decreasing. So what do you do then? And you're just stuck. And you know what? Sometimes you're stuck because of things you can't see and you can't name. That unconscious side of you, there's something there. There's a past trauma. There is something. I find generational things in myself and my clients all the time that our parents have graciously given us. They didn't know. But things that have been in our families for a very long time that are affecting how we look at this goal today. There's internal triggers that keep us stuck. And it's okay. Again, have grace. There are a lot of people out there that can help you through something like that. Not just me, but there's maybe a therapist. There's maybe somebody who does a different energy type of healing. There's somebody that can, walk you through. If you're somebody who likes to relive the past and really dig in there, I am not. I don't want to relive it. I just want it to be gone. I just want the trauma of it to be gone. Let me put it that way. Anything that's holding me back just doesn't need to stay with me anymore. It's all good. I don't need to relive it. Just get rid of it. But you might be somebody who likes to talk about it. Talk therapy might be great. But whatever it is, realistically look at these things, measure your progress. Are you somebody who is checking off those action steps that you've set up, and you know those action steps can get you to your goal, but still something is stuck? Then that's a time that, again, it's information. We just look at this as information. Those measurements are our gauges. So I just want to encourage you, if you have a goal you'd love to share with this community, drop it below. What are you working on? What can we celebrate with you and encourage you along your journey? I love to celebrate people's successes, big or small. And so I'd love to hear from you. And remember, until we meet again, that if you don't believe in yourself right now, borrow my belief. What is it that is that goal that's running around in your heart and your mind that you've been afraid to go get? Just step out there and put one foot in front of the other. Set the goal, because that is your finish line. And you might have to take routes to get there, right? It could be the Amazing Race. Oh, we had to go over the mountain and then down around the sea. That's all good. But just go get it. It's there for you. Shine on.